comments have been coming in since last night saying I may have been a bit harsh saying that MFC is at risk of becoming irrelevant. I don't think they're the only ones at risk. Let's talk about it next.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me.
What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody can hear me. It looks like everything's working now. I've had some internet issues, had to reset some things. Could you guys hear the music on the theme song? Because I don't think I could. So anyway, what's going on? You guys having a good day? It is, yeah, everything looks good on your end. Okay. So, sorry, I just had to block Frank. I'm just tired of the comments. He's been coming at me for a week nonstop. We're just going to put an end to that. This theme song is banging. It is real. I'm glad I found it. It is so good. All right. So, before we get into too much stuff, I'm still lamenting over the Penn State stuff, and still shocked that they paid $50 million to tell a guy, see ya. And then I'm watching some other stuff, and they're going to have to pay more to probably buy the coach they want out of their current contract just to get him to come and not even start paying him the salary they want him to pay. They want to pay him. So $50 million to tell Franklin to go away. If you're going to go after like Kurt Signetti or Matt Rule, they're in a current contract. You're going to have to buy that one out. And that's probably, I don't know, 20, 30 more million. So now 80 million, and you haven't even started paying. You haven't even started paying the coach. Again, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. See him at Texas A&M knows this all too well. Still paying Jimbo. Yeah, I think Jimbo was 80 million. Like, and I was looking the buyouts of big time college coaches. James Franklin was 9th on the list on the buyout. There are 8 coaches ahead of him that would cost more to buy them out. It is literally insane. Leave Matt Rule alone. That's the name I'm hearing, Travis. I'm sorry. He was a Penn State grad. He is tight with the AD at Penn State. That's what they're saying. I don't know. Really, the coach at Texas A&M I'm hearing on the list too. But who knows? It's early. We don't know what the season's going to entail. LSU has entered the chat. We are still paying Les Miles, and he was 3 coaches ago. Yeah, it's insane. Insane. Can you imagine, though, getting paid $50 million to do nothing? Like, we want you to go away. You don't have to do anything. That's crazy. Rule's record against ranked teams ain't great. He hasn't really had a great team to do that with. He kind of went to the NFL for a brief time before he could even show what he could do. You're not going to win against ranked teams with Temple. So with the direction Nebraska is going, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a new contract to keep him. Probably not. I was listening to an IU grad this morning talking about Signetti at Indiana is already making more than Franklin was at Penn State at Indiana because they've been trying to keep him. And now if Penn State comes after him, they're probably going to give him another raise just to keep him. It is the amount of money that is floating around college sports right now is insane. It is getting crazier than the NFL. At least they are pro athletes. These are billionaires playing against billionaires. Now you're talking about the educational system throwing away tens of millions of dollars every year. It is pure insanity. Pure insanity. Coach O gets Odron, had the best response to a $17 million buyout. When do you want me to leave and which door do you want me to use? There you go. All the candidates are going to use Penn State to get a raise where they are. You are correct. I know that's happening. And I was watching Get Up this morning. Heather Dinich, their college football expert, was saying that Penn State has basically said money is no object when it comes to getting a coach. They are willing to spend. They have so much coming in from donors that they don't even care. And that just boggles my mind. It's actually making me like not enjoy college football as much. I feel like it's losing some of the beauty of like kids just going out there for the love of the game. I know there was a lot of backdoor stuff, but man, and the kids are getting paid. The coaches are getting wealthy. I don't know. It has my head spinning, but the fall from grace that Penn State has had less than a year ago in January of this year, they were playing in the Final Four for a chance at the national title. They lost in a close game to Notre Dame, or they would have been in the national championship game. Now, we haven't even made it 6 games into the season, and they fired their coach, who's been there for 12 seasons. That's how much pressure is on all this. Like, literally this year, they were in contention for the national championship, and 6 games into the next season, gone. And pay him $50 million to go. A&M has one Chevron oil exec that basically donates to dictate our football. Yeah, that oil money down there is nasty. It is totally what have you done for me lately, Aaron Fraser? Totally. NIL is destroying college ball. I agree. I do believe the players, like what was infuriating for years is you would take a popular player, you would put his number on a jersey, and you would sell them like crazy in the gift shop, and that player got $0 for that. And they are using what he is doing on the field to make a profit. I believe the player should have received something for that, but we have opened up the floodgates into an area that is way beyond what I think is reasonable at this point. And if they don't get a handle on this, there's going to be so much. I mean, there's already the transfer portal is almost becoming more important than recruiting. If you can get people in the transfer portal, you can build your team quickly, and you don't even need to recruit that well anymore. And if you have the money to do that, that's the way it's going to go. That is so much pro sports with unlimited free agency, because you can't sign these kids to long-term deals. You only can give them something for a year. So next year we move to another place to get more money. When the coach gets fired, the players all enter the portal. So the school has to get started on rebuilding the roster immediately. Yeah. I would say 90% of the commits for Penn State have already decommitted because of the firing. Nothing to stop a 21-year-old from declaring for the NFL draft. If anything, lower the age to declare at 18. I know what this was actually proposed, Fergie, and they actually showed research that the body of an 18-year-old couldn't handle the collisions and the impact of the NFL. And they were actually just protecting the kids from that. That was their story then. I don't know if it was a story or just trying to have more control over the wild, wild west that is college football and the NFL. But crazy. Travis, I don't mind NIL, but a large percentage of should be withheld until after they leave school. That's an idea. I think there should be a cap. I mean, there's a cap in the NFL. Why do we have no cap in college football? Most college players are going to make more money in college than as pros. You are correct. I mean, and you look in women's sports, like Caitlin Clark was making like $8 million her senior year, and she actually took a major pay cut to go pro. Fergie, but 18-year-old bodies can handle combat and war. I see the point you're making. But there's not a lot of hand-to-hand combat in war. Megan, I'm so behind. When did they start paying college players? They've probably been paying them for decades, but legally it happened a few years ago. There was a lawsuit that players filed that they should be compensated if the college or university uses their name, their image, or their likeness to make a profit. And so they won that lawsuit. And because of that, it has opened up the wild, wild west. Trained Olives. Caitlin Clark took a pay cut in salary, not endorsements. Correct. The LSU gymnast that was the highest paid athlete at one time, and that was Livy Dunn. And she's still modeling for the same companies she was getting paid for in college. And she was never like an Olympic gymnast. She was never going to go to the Olympics or take gymnastics to a pro level. And she was making, I think, $10 million in college. 10 million. That's, gosh, I was digging through couch cushions to buy pizza. And these people are getting millions of dollars, but I couldn't do a back triple with a twist. A University of Miami alumni have been paying athletes since 1983. That is very accurate, Fergie. I mean, Brian Bosworth was driving a brand new Corvette and had all the fancy stuff when he was in college at Oklahoma. Corey Leonard, Livy Dunn is married to Paul Skeens, who is the Pirates ace and maybe Cy Young Award winner this year. They're probably not clipping coupons out of the Sunday paper. That is an accurate description for sure. So, well, enough about college sports. Last night I made the comment as I was kind of researching the Masters Fitness Championships that happened this weekend, and I said that they are on the verge of becoming irrelevant. And I actually got comments saying that might have been a little bit too harsh. And here's what I'll say. I think that there's an economic realization that events are going to face soon if they don't figure out how to streamline what they are and get more people to attend or more people to watch and get and get viewership up in some sort of way. The reason it came to light with the Masters Fitness Championship is they have so many different categories. They have individual elite, they have individual RX, they have teams, and with all of that going on in one space, the Masters community already has a problem where you have so many divisions. And at MFC, you have 30 to 34 all the way to 65 plus. And every 5 years, there's another division. So what's that? Ballpark 7 or 8 divisions on each side, men and women. Now you have 16 divisions. Now you add an RX for all of those as well. Now you're up to 32 divisions. And now you add a team in, and I don't think they did as many for the team. So maybe 4 more divisions each side. That's 8 more. So you're talking 40 divisions of things to watch in an event. And what happens is then there's the break between events gets to be so long. So family members have to sit around for 8 hours waiting for their next event to watch a family member. Who wants to do that? You have long days for volunteers. You have long days for athletes. You have long days for spectators. Who wants to sit around all day like that? And it's all over the map. So what do you watch? What are you highlighting? And what happened at MFC is more of the bigger named athletes or noteworthy athletes did the team division this year. So but they spotlighted the individuals on the stream. So when you're doing that, you're watching people that you probably don't know the names of. And I think that's where they're losing relevance. However, it is a good competition to go to if you want experience, if you want to get some confidence, if you want to go with all of those things. But I do think that events are going to have to start streamlining and knowing who they are. We've been saying this about CrossFit, the greater CrossFit, for a while. You need a mission. You need to know what you're fighting for. You need to have everybody aligned and fighting in the same direction. I think events are going to have to do the same thing. Who are you as an event? And with that, how are you going to spotlight what you are? Let's take an example of a positive event, and that is Crash. Crash is happening this week. Crash knows who they are. Crash knows that they are an elite, just under the cusp of like a semifinal. They have games athletes, they have semifinal athletes, and it's great competition experience to get you ready to fight for a games position. That is who they are. They program to that. They bring in the athletes for that. It's streamlined. You know who's going to be there. They whittle down the heats to just enough that make it watchable on a weekend. I think that is where they're going to have to go. Crash does it well. Crash gets people to come and stream because it's such a big event. It does well for those streaming, and it does well for Crash to have it streamed. You can partner with people that way. MFC is all over the map. It's a lot different than that. Sorry, but it's no different than if there's an old person football league. No one is going to watch. But if they come up with a good idea and a good concept, there are people that would watch. Is it going to be at the level of the CrossFit elites? Probably not, but it could be at a level that is sustainable. There is no masters groups inherently have a problem of too many heats, doing the same workout too many times a day. Trying to figure that out puts these masters events into between a rock and a hard place. So why would you then add more and more and more divisions to make that inherent problem even worse? I know I'm a CrossFit geek. I really enjoy the CrossFit Games age group divisions. I think that it is fun to watch. I think the competitions are tight. I think they are competitive. It's a different vibe than the elite divisions, and I really enjoy it for one. But it's never been highlighted in a way for people to understand that. This year, the 3-day pass was only $30. Wow. Last year, I went and had to pay one day alone was $80. So at least they've reduced that down to where it's affordable. So I wasn't trying to pick on MFCs per se. They just were an example for what is going wrong with events, period. Another example in a bad way is, and I love these guys. They've been on the show a couple times, Fight for the Fittest. It's up in Long Island. They've been a very, very successful team competition for many years. Now they're going to add individuals to that. And so the question is, are you spreading yourself too thin in a direction that is not in line with what you have been for years? Can you sustain the additional heats and the additional length to your day when you have been dominating this team event for years locally? Just questions I think about. One other piece of news I wanted to talk about, and that is the Barbell Spin reported that the WFP in their trials that they have no leaderboards. There's no report of how many people can qualify for their competition in Copenhagen. And my question to them is this: every time things don't go the way you had planned them to go, you go dark. You hide it all, like, let's hide it under the carpet and hope nobody lifts it up. And here we are again with the World Fitness Project having an event that they had planned, these trials where people could qualify for a community event in Copenhagen and then go do that at the championships. I think it's become abundantly clear after the first 2 tour stops that at least in the US, the community event was dying, if not dead. Now you have these trials to go to Copenhagen for a community event where now the leaderboard has gone dark. You don't know how many people get a spot there, and everybody is questioning what's going on. I think that is a terrible way to deal with the PR of that. If you are making the decision or it's become abundantly clear it can't be supported, then just cancel it and become an elite only competition. Don't just hide it under the rug and hope nobody looks. Back to the Masters a little bit here. Shanna, someone said once that MFC was becoming a team competition exclusively. I thought it weird, but if they did, would have fewer teams per division, but lots of athletes. I did hear that as well, Shanna, and apparently they got endorsement from CrossFit to be able to call these teams CrossFit Games champions. It would be a brand new category for that. It all kind of seemed weird anyway, but I think you made a good point on the show last week that the older athletes are actually, they enjoy the team concept more because it's less beating on their bodies. And I really liked what you had said there. And I think that maybe if they decided to just do masters teams, like 2-person women, 2-person men, and move forward with that, I think they could make that successful. That way you reduce the number of heats, but keep the same number of athletes, and you can kind of get through everything faster. And I think it makes sense from a viewing standpoint, as well as just a logistics and helping the athletes out a little bit. Fergie, I would enjoy watching Masters athletes demo events between heats. Kevin Coaster rope climbs, hip and steel ring muscle ups, Jason Grubb on a chipper would all be entertaining. It truly is entertaining if you go live. And I don't know if you've ever been to an event live like this. I don't think people have given it the fair shake. and because they assume that it's going to be less fun to watch. But let me put it to you this way. Major League Baseball are the best baseball players in the world, but I still enjoy watching college baseball. I still enjoy watching Little League Baseball when ESPN airs that, to see these kids fight for a championship. We do that with college sports and pro sports all the time. I think it can be successful if you give it a chance, but they do have an inherent problem with too many heats of the same thing all day long. And I don't know how you fix that. Because it is not fun watching the same workout for 40 heats during the day, 40 divisions. And in some cases, they're more than one heat for that division. I loved watching the live stream in Indiana. It was covering to see some of the competition that I could relate to, not crazy fire breathers. Exactly. I'm 55 years old. I can't do any of the things that the elite athletes do, but I can look out on the floor and see inspiration in those people in the age group games. Their attempt to fix that seems to be lessen the number of athletes. At least that's what the games is doing. It's still, in all fairness, Corey, when CrossFit was running the age groups, only 10 athletes got in all divisions. When Legends took it over, at least you're getting 30 or 20. That's way more than used to be there. Frida, what if they did a longer qualifier and take less heats in finals? I am not a fan of online competition. I don't think it fairly assesses the true capacity, because there aren't enough checks and balances with it in the Masters division. And I would contend that you see big swings of even more in the Masters division than the Elite division, of people who appeared on the online leaderboard to have the capacity, and when they got there in person did not have it. So that's the biggest problem with the smallest number of like 10. A lot of times you are missing out on actually having the true athletes. They have the capacity at the games themselves or at the event itself. I'll use Jamie as an example. When she was 39, every event she went to in person, she podiumed and won a couple of them. Online, she finished 27th and didn't even get to go to the games to compete live against anybody. So it's really, really hard. It's really hard to expand the online and think you're going to get the right people. Fergie, it's called pencil whipping. Guys do it in golf all the time. I do not disagree with you. I think that there's probably more corruption in online leaderboards in the Masters division than any other division in CrossFit. And that is another inherent problem. Now you're not even getting the best of the best to the games to see what people can truly do. Now you have people that are so good they're going to make it regardless, just like in the Elite division. Jason Grubb's going to get through the online qualifier. Rudy Berger is going to get through the online qualifier. They just are. But it's such a risk for those people that have the skills that don't always get tested online. Corey, online qualifiers are not the best way to get people to comps. I realize they're necessary right now as we don't have enough in-person masters only comps, but you end up with not the actual top people. Amen. That is a problem. Then you get all these heats of people that aren't even the right people to get there, and then you get a mess. You get people standing around looking at apparatus that cannot even do them because they pencil whip their way into the games. It's fun that we started focus on online aspect. You can use in person. I don't understand, Frida. I know this year they're going to try to do some in-person stuff for semifinals with the age groups, but I don't think it's going to be a universal way to get in. The only way to the CrossFit Games is pretty much online semifinals, and it's going to be a handful of people who can get in otherwise. That's harsh, pencil whipped. Maybe Jay Birch, but I do think it's true. And not necessarily that they get one score and write down another like a true pencil whip, but I do think that there's some manipulation to the workouts and the true capacity of the athletes. Plus, I would argue there's more PED usage in the masters divisions than in any other division as well. But that's just speculation because I'm by no means an expert. So there's that. I had a question last night that I said I would answer today. Yeah, go for in-person qualifiers, switch it up even if it might be more expensive to compete. Yeah, I think they're trying that out this year. We'll see. How my training is going. I was asked about how my training was going. Right now, my training is a lot of yard work. It's just practical. It's what I need to get done right now. I'm trying to fix up my backyard. So I'm doing a ton of landscaping and digging and moving dirt. That has been my training for the last week. Training for me has been frustrating. I feel like I'm heading in a right direction health-wise and medical-wise. I just have to get through the process. I'm going through steps of figuring out my sinuses and my throat issues and lung issues. So I've taken pulmonary tests. I see a pulmonologist at the end of the month. I have been to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I've discovered that I have an infection in one sinus. I have polyps in the other sinus. And I also have acid reflux. And together, those are creating a phlegm issue in my throat that I have to get corrected. But they need to know more. So I have to get a CT scan so they can see into what is going on in there. The CT scan is the 21st of this month. So I go to that on the 21st to get the CT scan. Once I get the CT scan, then they'll be able to see how serious it is. And then I can start moving in a direction of getting healthier. This has been going on for me for 4 years. It is a growing frustration. And when I'm not doing yard work, I am doing sentinel training in my garage. And I do it in my garage because when I work out, a lot of phlegm builds up. It creates mucus and stuff, makes it hard to breathe. and I have to run outside frequently during my workouts. So it gets interrupted more than I would like. That's just where I am. I just have to fight through it right now. And I'm trying to get through all of this to get healthier on the other side. But it is very demoralizing at times. But that's what I'm working through. And I know I've been invited to the 5 a.m. squat club. It's just not feasible for me at 5 a.m. at this point. My mornings are the worst part of the day for me, with everything going on in my sinuses. That's just where I am. And I may join you guys once I get this remedied, but right now I just can't. It would not work for me. So my goal every day is to move. If that means out in the yard for 90 minutes doing yard work, then I'm good with that. And then if I don't do yard work or something like that, I go out to the garage, I get on the bike, I have sandbags, I do little workouts, I do Sentinel if it fits what I'm doing. And my goal right now is to move every single day. And that's what I'm doing. So, it's not glamorous. It's not something that like is games worthy or whatever. I just move every single day. I take walks, Seema. I take my dog for walks every day. I do at least 2 dog walks a day. Probably a little over a mile each day. Jay Birch says, I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. And then Fergie says, wait a few years, Papa Birch, you won't have a choice. I don't have the choice now. I never understood why people got up to pee in the middle of the night forever. And then I turned 50 and that's just the way it is now. Hell getting old. Hell getting old. And I'm really with Megan on this. That's what I love about CrossFit. I can do it anywhere and adapt the workouts as needed. Just keep moving forward however I can. Yeah. When I put too much pressure on myself is when I get into trouble. And so my goal right now, until all of this health stuff is fixed, is keep moving every single day. Keep moving. Train Olive, I get up to work at 3:45. Wow. I wish I could sleep past 6 a.m., but it doesn't happen. Yeah. And you're not even 50 yet, Corey. Nine days out of 10, it's 5 a.m. Yeah, I used to coach the 5 a.m. So that was like a 4 a.m. wake up call. I used to do that a couple times a week. I love those guys, man. That's one thing I do miss about coaching is just those guys. Man, it was so much fun. Vicky says, what's this sleep thing people are always talking about? Days I coach the early classes, it's 3:55. Yeah, when I did 5 a.m., it was a 4 a.m. wake up call. Ugh. I love the 5 a.m. class, but I keep swearing throughout the day. By 9 a.m., I have done a million things. Same Jody. Yeah, I'm into bed at 10 p.m. That's where I'm comfortable. That's where I feel the best is when I go to bed at 10. Jay Birch does not like the morning, apparently. Jay Birch, has your schedule changed since you retired? And by how much? So I got the Bears game tonight. I'm getting pumped for since all my other teams suck. I'm hoping we're 2-2 heading into tonight. I'm hoping that this year does not end up like last year where we went into Washington, lost on a Hail Mary, and then all hell broke loose. Going back to the site of the crime and hopefully pulling out a win tonight on Monday Night Football. That's what I'll be doing tonight. Tomorrow's show, I'm doing another Friends episode where I have someone on and we just chat and we let you all in the chat join us in our conversation. But I'll have Tristan Patrick on. We're going to talk whatever is on your mind, whatever is on our mind, but we've got to talk about Hattie Kenyo and her trying a new coach. We'll talk about that tomorrow, I'm sure. Plus a million other things with Tristan as he keeps his ear to the trends that are going on in the CrossFit space. I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of things going on. But that, and then I believe next week I'll have Caroline Klutz on. She is competing at Crash this weekend in the Masters division. She won the 35 to 39-year-old Masters CrossFit Games. So we're going to talk to her, but she is a registered dietitian. So we're going to talk about diet and nutrition with her next week on that Friends type episode. If you weren't with me last week with Josh Hicks, that's kind of the format we're going with, just kind of hanging out as friends, having conversations, and letting you guys join in and ask questions as well. So tomorrow, Tristan Patrick, and next week, Caroline Klutz, and can't wait to see you all then. It's been great. Love you all. Get back to work, and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.